Well, hello again, everyone. It's your girl Gabrielle from A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. If you're not already familiar with us, let me tell you quickly what we're about. So, this is a web series where we talk real talk about things that are in our purview, right? So, we are a tutoring company. So, things about employment, education, entrepreneurship, mental health, physical health, social services, all that good stuff. So, we like to have real conversations about that and put it out there for the world to see. And I have a fabulous guest who will join me today. Her name is Nancy Becher, and we are going to talk about having a chronic illness, right? So, this is a very important topic. I'm very excited to talk about this. So, let's get started. So, before we jump in and before I bring her to the stage, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. So, let me get my little banner here. All right, so who is Nancy Becher? Let me tell you who she is. So, Nancy Becher is the chief flying pig wrangler of Business Success Unlimited. That's her company, which we'll reference later. And she is a speaker, trainer, radio show host, author, and business coach. So, in business, in one form or another, since she was 12, Nancy founded Success. Whoa. Nancy founded Business Success Unlimited in its current form in 2009. When she first started her business over 35 years ago, there was no real internet. And if you wanted to be a business owner, you just had to jump in and do it. Now, there are hundreds of gurus and experts out there. So many, in fact, you still often have to just do it. And if you are lucky enough to have some sort of chronic illness, it is even more difficult to figure out what to do and how to do it. Unlike many programs out there, when you take the course and spend all the money, you often end up with no one there to answer your questions later. She and her team will always be there for you to support you long after the course or event is done. She teaches entrepreneurs how to work around their chronic illness and be successful in spite of it. And her motto is don't just survive, thrive. That is an awesome motto, and I can't wait to get started. So I'm going to bring her to the stage right now. Hi, Nancy. How are you doing today?
Hi, Gabrielle. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So let's jump right into it. So, um, we're going to talk about having a chronic illness and what that is, the different types that are out there, and how it's not a disability. It's a no a what was so funny disability. What was I trying to say?
Well, it's
Handicap.
not, yeah,
It's not. You're not You're handy capable. I think I
that's
messed that one
right.
up.
We're other abled.
Yes, other able. All right, awesome. So I'm gonna pass the floor or pass the baton onto you, and please go ahead and give us your spiel.
Okay, great. Well, there are over 125 million people in the United States alone that, as of the last census, um, considered themselves to have some sort of a chronic illness. And a chronic illness can be it's considered as something that is long term and that doesn't usually go away. So it can be cancer, it can be diabetes, it can be fibromyalgia, and there's just a million different things. I myself have fibro, I have complex regional pain syndrome, I have glaucoma, and having a chronic illness means that you also have a lot of other issues. And I was talking to someone earlier today who had had been diagnosed a couple of years ago with cancer. And she says, it seems like once you get one thing, they just start falling into place, one behind each other. And that's true. I was first diagnosed with fibro, and then I got the glaucoma, and then I got diabetes, and now I've got the complex, because a lot of them are autoimmune disorders. And if you look at someone who has a chronic illness, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see that there's anything wrong, that we look fine. And so if we say, I can't do something, I can't go to work, I'm sick, I don't feel good, oftentimes we'll get, sure, you're just being lazy, or I wish I could take a day off every time I wanted to, kinds of comments, because people don't understand what it's like to have a chronic illness. For me in particular, and I know that a lot of other people have the same issues, I have no short-term memory any longer. I can't remember my name some days, let alone anything else. And I'm exhausted. I used to be up at 4:30 in the morning and work until midnight and get right back up the next day at 4:30 and go. Now, when the alarm clock goes off at 7 o'clock, I'm going, no, just another 5 minutes, please. I'm tired and I can't work all day. This is a long day for me today. I'm normally done by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I try to take the weekends off because we just don't have energy anymore, and we have pain, and it's really hard to deal with chronic illness. And another thing for me is I used to love to just get up and go and get in my car and drive and meet friends for coffee, go to the bookstore, do whatever I wanted to. I was very independent. Now I'm in a wheelchair and I can't go anywhere unless my husband takes me. And I know he gets frustrated because he has to do everything. He has to do the cooking, he has to do the cleaning, he has to put on my shoes and help me get dressed. And you have to, when you have a chronic illness, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't really see unless they're a part of your life. And so one of the things that I truly believe in and try to do every day of my life, when I'm out there, when I'm on the internet, anything like that, is to try to be understanding of other people, because I have no idea what's really going on in that person's life. All we know is what we see and what we assume. And, even just, what about that poor lady who's the checkout at the grocery store, who's been standing on her feet all day? She may have a problem with her feet, and standing there is really hurting. And we come up and we're in a rush and we're this and we're that and the other thing. And all you have to do is say, hey, how was your day going today? And that makes such a world of difference. So, Gabrielle, it's really an interesting issue that so many people in the United States have. And I just think we need to make more awareness of what's going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what about, well, let's say, you mentioned it a little bit, but can you give some examples of chronic illnesses?
I was looking for my list. I had a list and I was trying to find it. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Yeah, here we go. Part of the list of people that have chronic illness are heart disease, cancer, Lyme's disease, arthritis, diabetes, dementia, depression, fibromyalgia, RSD, or what I have, complex regional pain syndrome, asthma, chronic fatigue, eating disorders, lupus, multiple sclerosis, glaucoma. They're conditions that last at least a year or more and require ongoing attention and limit the activities of someone's daily life.
Mm, that's a very good definition of that. So, what is it about chronic illnesses that make people kind of look down at people like that, or give people the side eye, or like, what is it about having a chronic illness that people, like you said before, like think you're lazy.
Well, as I mentioned, it's often very, very difficult. I mean, if you see me out and about, you know there's something wrong with me because I'm in a wheelchair. But looking at me here on this internet stage, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with me. And if I were to say, I just can't do it today because I don't feel good, that means something to me that it may not mean to somebody who's hearing me. And the person who's hearing me may say, yeah, right, she just wants to get out of it. She's not, she's not being a good person because she's promised to do something and now she's not following through. I was sitting in my car one day and I was in a handicapped spot. No, I wasn't, excuse me. I was not in a handicapped spot, even though I had handicapped tags on my car. And I was sitting there and I had been in the mall and I'd been walking around and it was August, it was hot, and I was exhausted when I got back to the car. And I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of doing this number, just trying to get my breath and relaxing. There's this pounding on my window of my car, yelling at me because I had handicap stickers on my car and I wasn't parked in a handicap parking spot. How dare I take a parking spot away from someone who wasn't handicapped? That's a little different than what you normally see. But a lot of it, I think, is that we try not to tell everybody what's really going on. If you don't see us within our family or within our living situations, if I were to get up and try to walk across this room, I would probably fall. But you don't see that with my sitting. And people don't get that there's really something going on because we don't share it. We don't talk about it. We keep it to ourselves. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, it does. Thank you. So you brought up an interesting point in your list of illnesses. You brought up depression. So chronic illness is not just physical, right?
Right.
It's also mental. Can
Right.
you talk about that a little bit more?
Well, I think most anyone, and there's a lot of different things that go under. See, I'm having problems thinking that's mental. That's not. I'm not having a difficult time physically, but my words are not going into what I'm trying to get them to say at the moment. So, and with depression, there's a lot of different things that cause depression. And for someone who's really sick, they go through a whole lot of internal things. I'm worthless, I'm not good enough, I'll never be able to do what I used to do. You just go down and down and down. And I spent a year and a half sitting on my bed after I had my car accident because I couldn't get up and walk and I just wanted to give up. I was truly depressed, but I wasn't diagnosed as a depressive. I wasn't given medicine. I was just, you know, in a position where I was not feeling happy. I was not feeling like I could get out there and do things. So, yes, depression in itself can be a disability, but most people who have chronic illness have some form of depression.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you mentioned your car accident. I don't know if you're comfortable talking about what happened.
I talk about it all the time. That's my business. My business is letting people know that they're not alone, that they have somebody on their side. But 7 years ago, we were living in a northern state where there was lots of snow and ice and cold, and we were taking care of my parents. And we had taken them to a potluck dinner at the senior center in town where we lived. And as I was getting into my car to go move it to pick up my mom and dad and get them in, the car next to me pulled out beside me and pulled right into the side of my car where I was in the process of getting in the car. And I fell out and my foot fell into a hole in a drainage ditch, and I twisted to the left and I twisted to the right, and I went down. And my foot immediately swelled to about 4 times its normal size and turned horribly black and blue and was in excruciating pain. But I said, I've probably just sprained my ankle really badly, and we didn't go to the doctors until the next day. And the next day they took x-rays and they didn't really see anything wrong with it. And they said, well, we think there's something wrong, but you need to see a specialist. And it took 6 months and 5 doctors to figure out I had torn tendons, torn ligaments, and broken bones. And by the time they went in to fix what was wrong, I had gotten this disease. It's a syndrome, and it's nerve damage, and it attacks a body part when there's damage to the body, and it's again called complex regional pain syndrome. And once you have that, it then goes to other parts. Anytime your body has some sort of trauma to it, it will move into another part of your body. So I've now had 16 surgeries, and I have a spinal stimulator, which is a box with wires connected to it that are connected to my spine. And there's different frequencies in this box that go across the wires into my spine and up my spine to my brain. And what that does is to try and reduce the level of pain in my body, because your pain is recognized in your brain, even though it hurts in your hand. When you cut your finger, it doesn't usually hurt until you see it. And when you see it, then it starts to hurt. And that's because your brain has recognized that there's something there. And so the spinal stimulator sends current up your spine and into your brain that try to eliminate the pain signals. So that was my accident.
And when did that happen?
It was 7 years ago. 7 years ago in February. So it'll be 8 years this next February. And I'm just getting ready. I've had 16 surgeries and I'm getting ready for at least 2, maybe 3 more. So it's definitely long term.
So I assume you're doing all like the physical therapy and things like that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because another whole part of this chronic illness is, I had mentioned that it took 6 months. A lot of the symptoms from a lot of these different diseases or syndromes or whatever you want to call them have the same symptoms. And so it's very difficult to diagnose what's wrong. I now have stomach issues. I have Crohn's. I have all of these different things. I am a diabetic. And all of these just sort of come together. Like I said, once you get one, you get these others. And it just becomes really, really difficult. And I've forgotten the question. I'm sorry. That's my mind.
No, but I was talking about you being in a wheelchair. You have to make time for physical therapy.
Oh, well, I don't do physical therapy because I am in so much pain that nobody can touch me. In fact, I can't cut my own toenails. And now I remember where this conversation was going. I can't touch my feet. My husband has to be very, very careful and put shoes and socks on for me. I have one pair of shoes that I can wear because my feet swell and there's so much pain. And I needed to have my toenails cut. And we've recently moved to a new state, and the doctors down here don't understand what my disability is. And so I had gone into a podiatrist's office to get my toenails cut. And they looked at me and they said, well, if you can't cut your own toenails, we're going to have to amputate your legs. And they were totally serious. And that just shows doctors, people don't get what you've got oftentimes.
May I ask, have you been amputated?
No, I
Okay.
said, I'm leaving. Goodbye. and we rolled me out. And then I went to another state to find a doctor because I wasn't going here.
That's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, you could just, get someone to do it for you or if you want to pay to go to a nail salon.
That
That's
you can't do that because you have to understand the physiology of what's going on in my toes. If anybody could cut my toenails, my husband could do it. He's tried and he can't. I kick him. It hurts. You have to have the right equipment. You have to understand how to very gently and hold my feet in certain ways, and it's not easy. You would think something as simple as cutting your toenails, go to a nail salon. Doesn't work.
so basically you're it sounds like you're living a restrictive life pretty much.
Absolutely.
You can't do your normal daily tasks as you used to do.
Absolutely. Yep. And, that's part of what my whole message is about these days is that I want people to know that even though they're not able to live the way they used to, they still can have really good lives. I still do almost everything that I used to do, except I don't have to worry about cooking and doing the dishes because my husband does it now. But, we have to figure out different ways in which we can live successful, thriving lives. And that may be, I did a vision board a few years ago, and on that vision board, one of the things that I put on there that I wanted desperately was a convertible. And I got my convertible, and I was so excited driving down the road. I had the top down and, hair flying and all of this. And I can't get into it now. It's too low and I can't get in and I can't get out. And my poor little beautiful convertible is sitting out there in my driveway because I can't get into it. So my choices are to leave it there in the driveway, to sit there and feel sorry for myself because I can't drive in my car that I wanted so badly, or is to find a different car that I like just as well, that I can get into it. So now we're looking for a convertible Jeep because the Jeeps are higher, but I've had to learn that, I might not be able to get cotton candy anymore, but I can still get an ice cream cone. You make choices and you live with those choices, and you be happy that you've still got a life and that you can still do the things that you basically want and need to do in your life.
Right. So it's making simple adjustments, right? So you have to get a different type of car because you can't get a car lower to the ground. Or for someone with asthma, I know I lived with asthma most of my life. I was trying to, like, it's like you walk around with an inhaler all the time, and it's like you have to be constantly aware of like certain scents, things in the air, things like that. Um, so most of my life was indoors. um, so it's being aware of certain things you're not able to do, and making adjustments to still
Correct.
reach your goals.
Correct. Yeah, I've
Mhm.
got asthma too, and it's really funny because one of the things that really bothers me are scents. And you walk through the mall and you go past some of these big stores that have the cologne centers up in the front. I've learned just to walk on the other side of the aisle, so you're as far away from them as possible, and hold my nose usually as I walk by. Or inevitably, I'll be sitting there eating in a restaurant, and halfway through my meal, my husband and I are enjoying our dinner, and they'll sit somebody behind us who's got drenched in perfume or some sort of a cologne. And I can either choose to get up and leave my dinner. I can choose to tell them they've got to move, or what's the easiest to do is to ask the waitress if we could move to a different table. And that was really embarrassing at first when I would do it. And I just say, I'm sorry, but I can't sit here. I'm having trouble breathing. That table over there, can we move to? And the waitresses will say, sure, no problem, usually. And we'll just pick up our food and move over to the other table, and everything is fine and we continue to eat our dinner. So it's about making choices and about understanding your body and knowing what your body is telling you, and doing things in such a way that you maintain as much of your health as you possibly can while still doing the things you want to do.
Absolutely. And well, I imagine for someone with a chronic illness, there's that feeling of embarrassment, of feeling humiliated because they're not, quote unquote normal. So, what do you say to those people who, are afraid to be embarrassed because they have to do things a little bit differently?
Well, I used to say, and this has changed recently, I used to say, what's the worst thing that can happen? Are you going to die if you do it? And, if the answer is no, I said, well, then just get up and do it. But now I'm saying, if you do this, what's the best thing that's going to happen? I'm going to be able to breathe. I'm still going to be able to eat my dinner. I'm still going to have a good evening with my husband. And, maybe the people that I'm moving away from might get a clue and not wear so much cologne next time. But, I was embarrassed. I hated it at first. As I said, I sat for a year and a half and just did nothing because I was ashamed and embarrassed and felt like I was worthless because I couldn't be myself any longer. You just have to, all I can tell you is you have to understand that you still are the person you've always been. Your body has changed, but what's inside is the same. And you've been, I look at what's happened to me actually as a blessing. I have been blessed with this condition because I've learned how to cope. I've learned to have a different and even a better life because of the things I've learned. And I really feel that I was meant to learn how to help other people. And I never would have done that if I hadn't gotten hurt. And so I say, just hold tight, do it again and again and again until you feel comfortable doing it. And eventually you'll be cool and it'll be just, whatever. And you'll be living life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I also want to point out that your husband is very supportive, it seems like. So you have a strong support system.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people don't. So I am very, very thankful that I do have him in my corner. He pushes me everywhere. He does everything that he can, sometimes grumbling about it. When he doesn't want to get up out of his chair and give me something, he may grumble, but he does it. And that's just, I don't know what I'd do without him. It is another true blessing that I have him by my side helping me. And you need to find some sort of a structure that does support you. And if you don't have family members to help you, then maybe you need to reach out and find some sort of a community of caretakers or of other people that understand what you're going through and that you can bond with and be a part of their community, and just learn that it's okay because you do have other people somewhere around you that are there to support you and help you.
Absolutely. So no one is ever really alone. You just may have to reach outside to find to find resources, but you're never really alone. There's always
No, you're
something you
not.
can do.
Yeah. It can be a church, it can be a community center, it can be on the internet. I belong to several groups on the internet that are all about, supporting each other. The one thing that I will tell you that is a warning that needs to be listened to is, and we all get it, we all go into that depression, we all start feeling sorry for ourselves once in a while, and that's okay. Yeah, every once in a while I'll sit there and I'll boohoo and I'll cry for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And then I'll say, all right, you've had your cry, get up and get going and enjoy life. And the more that you can keep busy, the more that you can keep your mind active and doing something, you're actually less likely generally to feel the hurt. So for me, when I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, I get going on my business right away. And generally, I don't think about it hurting. I don't think about anything going wrong until I'm ready to quit at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then when I try to get up out of my chair, it's, oh dear, oh man, do I hurt. But I've gotten that period of time where I've been able to work, I've been able to concentrate, I've been able to get things done. And the pain and the frustrations and all of that that I go through up here have not affected me too much because I'm not thinking about them. The worst thing you can do is sit there and think about what's happened to you and how bad off you are. And you need to have a community around you that supports you, but that will kick you in the butt if you start whining and moaning about, oh, woe is me, how bad I am. And there's lots of those groups out there, but please don't get involved in those because they're the worst thing that could happen to you.
You mean don't get involved with groups that just whine and complain?
Yes, absolutely. That's what I mean. It's you need to have positive, uplifting, caring and support. And it's, you can get a pat on the back and say, it's okay, Nancy. We're gonna, we're watching over you. We're gonna take care of you. It's all right. That's fine. But it's, yeah, I know how hard it is and how bad you hurt. And, I'm just really sorry for you. And, let's all the negative things that I don't know why God ever did this to me, and I'm just in so much pain and agony, and there's nothing I can do anymore, and all that negative talk. You can find groups out there that that's all they do. And that's what I'm saying is don't get involved in groups like that. You need, if you're going to get involved in groups, both in person and online, you need to be part of groups that are uplifting and cheerful and supportive and will give you a kick in the butt if you start to, whine and moan.
So you sound very positive. So where does all that come from? All these, you've been dealing with your illness for 7 years, and you're in a wheelchair, and you have to quickly adjust your life, but yet you sound very positive. So where's all that positivity coming from?
My toes. I just pulled it up. I lived the negative life for a year and a half, and it wasn't fun. And I woke up one morning, and I kind of like to ask people if they've ever seen the television show NCIS. My husband is a retired Marine, and so we watch because it's Navy and all of that. And Gibbs, who's the major player on the show, used to be known for what was called a Gibbs slap, and he would do this if people weren't understanding what he was saying. And I woke up one morning and I felt like I had gotten a Gibbs slap from God and was being told to knock it off, that there was so much out there that I could do, that he wanted me to be doing, that I should be doing, and I needed to be spreading the word to other people that you can be positive, that you need to look at the bright side of things. And I found a penny the other day and it was heads up, and I was so excited because I was going to have good luck because I found a penny. You have to be happy. We have too short of a life. And lives are just too noisy and complicated and frustrated, and there's too many angry people and too much violence going on now, and we just need to calm it all down a little bit and be more positive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The power of positivity. All right. So we're starting to wind down a little bit. So, do you have any final advice for the people listening right now? Maybe they have a chronic illness and they're trying to get through the day, or you may have someone who's saying, "Hey, what's the big deal? It's not a big deal. Get over it." Um, so, any advice that you want to give to the viewers right now?
I think what I just said is, look to the positive, try to be the most positive that you can be. Um, if somebody is really desperate and needing to talk to someone and doesn't understand and wants some support, I'm always there. You can reach out to me and I'm happy to talk to you. Um, I am not a counselor, I am not a doctor, but I can certainly give pats on the back and try to support and help others. So if somebody needs somebody to talk to, they can talk to me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nancy. And I will put up your info on the screen. So, you guys, you can join Nancy on her website. It is www.businesssuccessunlimited.com. She's also on Facebook and LinkedIn, so definitely give her a follow. And she also has her own podcast. It is flyingpigs.podbean.com. And she's on YouTube as well, so definitely check out her YouTube page. And Nancy, if you can tell us about your business. Can you tell us a
Sure,
little bit about your business?
sure. I have been in business for over 35 years, and it started out being a supportive organization just to help businesses in general grow and prosper. I was an executive suite. We had like 50,000 square feet of office space that we rented out to people. We answered phones, we did tape transcription, we did all of the things that virtual assistants do now. And it spun from there, it spun into my consulting business, which now does work with women who have chronic illness. And I'm working with business owners who have established businesses, but like me, they've had something happen and they're facing challenges and they just don't know what to do. They know that they've still got a lot to share. They want their businesses. They still feel like they have value and want to be successful in their businesses, but they don't know how to be. And we go in there and we figure out what the tools and strategies are that will allow them to thrive and grow, but maintain their health so that they don't get sick and have issues.
Wonderful, wonderful. And that is a great resource for you guys watching right now. So if you have a chronic illness like fibromyalgia, or even mental illness like depression or anxiety, something that is physically debilitating, you could definitely reach out to Nancy's business, right? So your business, Nancy, is all about people that you may be restricted somehow, whether physically or emotionally, but and particularly for entrepreneurs, right?
Mhm.
So what you do is basically give help show them how they can still run their business given what's going on in their lives.
Absolutely. Yes.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. All right, so definitely check out her website for more information. Find her, follow her on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and definitely listen to her podcast. All her information is scrolling below, so definitely check her out. And Nancy, thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I'll put you backstage right now. And it's just you and me, guys. So let me put up my information right here. And we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining today. Please check out our YouTube channel for more videos and clips. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment below. Your feedback will be greatly appreciated. And if you would like to learn more about A Step Ahead Tutoring Services, if you want to learn more about our services, our workshops, anything else that we have to offer, you can find us online. Our website is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Eventbrite, and WhatsApp. So definitely look us up on social media and give us a follow. And one last thing before I go. We are also seeking financial contributions to our crowdfunding campaign on ifundwomen.com. And I'm going to play a video presentation that will explain more. So please watch.
Hey there, have you heard of us? We're a small team of tutors here at A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. We believe that education and information should be accessible to everyone, regardless of income, race, or creed. We're dedicated to making this happen, but we need your help. Please consider donating to our crowdfunding campaign. No amount is too small. Your donation will allow us tutors to remain employed, offer free and low-cost services, and reach out to families nationwide. With your help, we can tackle the academic challenges of our students and the emotional, mental, and behavioral changes that result from these challenges. As a bonus, we can improve our communities in the process. Support us today. We're a for-profit company. Your donation may not be tax deductible. Please consult a tax professional.
Yeah, so please consider making a donation today. Any amount will be greatly appreciated. So thank you again for joining us. Please tune in to the next episode. I look forward to seeing you. Thanks for watching. Signing off. Bye.